opera singer, soprano, Angela Brown. Angela, how are you today?
I am fine. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Faith.
Well, thank you for joining us. What type of work went into becoming a world-famous opera singer? And what was it that led you to opera rather than R&B or any other genre?
I always say the opera chose me. I didn't choose it. It was not a genre of music that I was exposed to in my home. I heard a lot of R&B growing up. My mother was a PK. And so, we had, gospel music was at the church, but we didn't really play it in our home. We heard a lot of, like I said, R&B music, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, I remember dancing around the big piece of furniture stereo, that you opened up like you were going to get some ice cream, but really you was putting the record on, this song, I don't remember the artist's name, but it was barefootin', barefoot, and I remember twisting in the floor with my mama and everything. So I wasn't exposed to classical music early on. It wasn't until I went to Oakwood College in Huntsville, Alabama, that I really was bitten by the opera bug, and I found out that I had this voice to sing classical music because all through my formative years, I sang gospel, especially here with the Steve Coleman Concert Choir. That was big part of the 80s gospel music scene here in the city. And I was one of the soloists for that group, and then I did a lot of singing with other churches, and then I did a lot of singing at the Civic Theater here in Indianapolis it used to be at the Indianapolis Museum of Art, and now I believe Civic Theater is part of the Palladium. But I sang all genres: musical theater, gospel, R&B. I did a lot of musical theater in high school. I went to Crispus Attucks High School, and I was just raised in the city in the arts. But it wasn't until I went to Oakwood College in Huntsville, Alabama, that I found out I had the chops for classical music. And my teacher, Ginger Beasley, there heard me sing, and then she says, well, she took me and her whole studio down to Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. So I went from Huntsville, Alabama, to have to come right 45 minutes from my door to get to start to work on my graduate work with Virginia Zayani. And once she heard me, I started off as a mezzo-soprano. And then once she heard me, before I became a graduate student, she says, darling, you are not a mezzo-soprano. You are a Verdian soprano. The blood of Verdi courses through your veins. Darling, when you are done in Ginger's studio, you come to me. I take you in my studio. And she says, you are a dramatic soprano, a lirici spinto soprano. So I sing a lot of Verdi's music. I don't know if I would be a specialist, but I sing a lot of it. And his music just definitely fits my voice. And as you said, it takes a lot of hard work to get where the Lord has blessed me to come. And when you enjoy something, you don't think about how long the road is. You just keep walking that road, and you're having fun on your way. You go through your ups and downs, and you might trip and fall, and you get back up. But as long as you're enjoying yourself and it's your passion, the way does not seem as hard. And actually, it took me 20 years to break into the business, really break into the business.
That is important to know. You know what you wanted to do, and it still took 20.
Eventually, I knew what I wanted to do.
Eventually.
Yeah, because like I said, opera found me. I didn't choose this genre. It was something that was foreign to me. I mean, I felt about opera like a lot of people feel about opera, that it was something that had nothing to do with me. It's white folks singing up there. Come on, let's just break it down, Sharons. And it's foreign language. I don't understand it. This soprano, screechy soprano up there singing at me all night, and I don't want to see her in big dress and a horn. Well, I don't want to see it.
How are you going about changing that for people like me who wasn't introduced to opera?
Well, my little contribution to the edutainment of America in classical music, I would say, is that I do a show called Opera from a sister's point of view, okay? And basically, it's a show that demystifies opera for audiences that normally wouldn't go. Now, I have to admit, when I first thought of this, I was thinking only of an African American audience, because I'm on the stages of the world and I'm looking out and everybody looking real monochromatic, if you know what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. Okay. And I was like, well, why is it that my brothers and sisters aren't coming to the opera? And then, like I said, like I stated before, it could be anything. It could go from soup to nuts, to where they just don't feel like they would fit in. They don't have the right clothes to wear. It could be an economic thing, because tickets can be pricey, and the fact that they don't think they would enjoy it because it's in a foreign language and it's something they don't feel like it's for them. Okay. And then as I started doing these concerts in churches for school-age children, because there is a school age component to the show that I do, and then community theaters and places like that, I found that a lot of white folk don't like opera either. Okay. They want to know about opera as well. So now my mission is not just to embrace my African American brothers and sisters, but also just to create diversity. I think is what's important, to create diversity in the opera audiences, because if the ones that are doing opera don't get out and continue to audience build, opera audiences are going to die out fairly soon, because a lot of people that support opera are the senior citizen white folk. Let's just say it like that. And so, so we want to build the audiences where we have a more youthful audience coming, and then, of course, a more diverse audience.
What type of questions do you field, and how do you make it so that they want to be involved in opera? They want to know more.
Well, a lot of times now, before I go and do a show, my show Opera from a Sister's Point of View, for a student audience, they have been prepped about me, so they know who I am. Thank God, because sometimes that could be a little hairy. It could be a little hairy. But what I find is, what I do is that I come out and like I said, I make it fun. I make opera palatable for the young people. So first I got to kind of get on their level, and I'm not out there in a big ball gown and, all the diamonds and everything. I might be in some jeans and some heels and a little blazer and, maybe a little cap or something, and I'm poking fun at them. Might do a little dancing with them or something. And then I get into the opera making, what opera is about. I'll explain an aria that I'm about to sing. Like maybe if I'm getting ready to sing the aria from Tosca, Vici d'arte, I'll say, this sister girl, she's an opera diva like myself. And she's got this boyfriend that's a freedom fighter. That's her boo. And, she's having some problems with the law in town, because the law is digging on her, but she don't like him. And she decides, her boyfriend gets in trouble with the law and he's put in jail. And she says, I'm going to get him out of jail. So the only way she can do it is to kill the law. Child, it's a hot mess up in there.
That's deep.
So I kind of go through the story of Tosca in a fun, tongue-in-cheek kind of way. It gets their ears listening, and they're sitting on the edge of their seats. And then I give them good old classical singing. I don't make fun when it comes to the voce darlings, because that's why they hire me. That's serious business. But I have fun with the plots. So that's what really draws the children in. And then the questions, after I've done that, because I'll do like maybe 3 or 4 arias for them, and I'll break it down. I even do Summertime in 2 different ways, because from Porgy and Bess. Summertime from Porgy and Bess is an aria, a classically written song, but a lot of times you'll hear it jazzed up. A lot of jazz singers will sing it, so I'll do it in a little jazz improvisational way, and then I'll sing the classical way, so that they can know that they hear opera in their daily lives all the time. And then they ask me questions like, well, where are you from? How did you start? Why? The same questions you're asking me. They always want to ask me how much money I make. It ain't none of y'all's business. Child, please. Honey, not nearly enough. Not nearly enough.
It's never, ever enough.
Never enough, child.
No, not enough money, and not thin enough either. Never, ever.
Well, no. Now I don't want
You look delicious. You look fantastic. Yes, yes. You are fantastic.
Thank you, darling.
Congratulations.
I feel great. Thank you.
Okay, now let's get back to the acting part and on stage. Now, as an actor, how do you remember all the words?
You know, it's called practice. They say how you get to Carnegie Hall, practice, practice, practice. So it's a lot of practicing. And when I realize that I have memorized the piece, I begin to sleep it. I'll go to bed and I'm constantly sleeping, you know, the lyrics and everything. So it's just a matter of putting in the time. You have to put in the time. That's how I memorize. I have done an opera on short notice before, and it's been maybe, I would say, a month, and maybe I had 2 weeks of just actual note learning and everything, and then 2 weeks of trying to sing it into my body, you know. So that's kind of too quick.
What does that mean?
When I say sing into your body, you have to sing something in classical music until it feels a part of, till it's just tripping off, because you're singing in a foreign language. You have to spit out all the diction, even though as an English speaker, you don't understand the words. Other people do. You know, and they're listening, and they're like, child, she is terrible. She just terrible.
Ebonics in Italian.
Italian, child, yes. So I try to really make sure that all my T's are crossed and I's are dotted.
In your body.
Yes, and in my body. I'm on the breath and everything. Because then you also, after you go from learning it here and getting it here, you've got to get it in the body, because there's a lot of physical action in bringing any of these stories that these heroines that I portray to life, you know, like Aida. Aida is an Ethiopian princess who has been captured by the Egyptians, and she has to pretend that she is just a regular Joe Blow, but she's actually the princess of Ethiopia, and she's in love with the commander of the Egyptian army. So she's got and her daddy is the king of Ethiopia, and they are fighting Egypt. So you know she got a whole lot going on. And so that night, honey, that's a tour de force, because we are peeling the layers of that onion all night long, you know. So you have to have it all, the acting, the singing, you know, and the movement.
Did you have it all from the beginning? I know you were in the gospel choirs and you sang in school. Did that acting, did that skill, is that something you learned, or is it something that you already had, you built upon it?
You know, when I was in first grade, my teacher, Mrs. Sanders, love you, Mrs. Sanders, from School 76, we were having a talent show, and she picked three young ladies, three young people, because I can't remember if it was all girls or not, to do this song, I'm a little teapot, short and stout, here's my handle, here's my spout. Child, I couldn't get all the movements together, but I had the voice. I always could sing, but I couldn't quite, get that whole handle and spout and things, and I was young, I was a baby, and I wasn't quite sure who I was and who I was in my body, and, and all those things, because I've always been a cute, chunky girl. And so I was a little shy and a little retiring. And when she said, Angela, sit down because you can't get the movements, I vowed that never again, never will they tell me to sit down, child. Honey, give me a light in the mic and it's on. Okay, so to answer your question, yeah, it's been ready. Okay, after that moment. That taught me a valuable lesson.
That's right. That's right. That was one of the learning, the failures, I guess, that teaches you and raises the bar.
Helps you to raise it.
Wow. So what would you want your audience to know? Because we have thousands of people who are wrapped in what you're saying.
Oh.
What is it that Angela Brown wants people to know about her?
Well, if I could say something encouraging, because I hope that you will, I can sit up here and give you a laundry list of what I do and where I've been. You can look at, I'm sorry, but you can Google me. Google me and read about me. But if I could encourage you today in anything that you want to do, what I would say is never let anyone define success for you. Success is going to look different anywhere you go, everywhere you go. What I have been able to achieve is not under my own strength. I know who holds me and keeps me, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ. You can cut that out if you want to, but I will say it again, over and over again. I loves the Lord. He heard my cry, and I know who keeps me. And he has been the one that has enabled me to climb the mountain, to climb up the ladder of success. I don't poo-poo that. I say that you have to have someone bigger than yourself in this business, because in this business, it will make you crazy if you feel like you are doing everything under your own strength and power. Have something and somebody, and even here on this earth, you got to have good people to support you. You have to have a good support system, because there'll be times where you don't feel like getting out there doing your thing, or that you felt like you could have done better. Most performers perform at their top level maybe 4 times in their whole career. But you would never know it if they just keep it moving.
Right. That's encouraging.
But y'all ain't gonna let you see me sweat, because I still want my check. Hello. Okay. Because let's be real, it is about making a living as well. But you have to want to do this, have a passion and a drive and a fire in your belly that you would do this even for free.
Okay, so this is a business.
It is a business.
Now, we have a lot of people out here who want to perform for a living, but they may have the artistic part, but they don't have the business mind. What do you suggest? What kind of advice do you give to people for in the business area of entertainment?
Well, now I did educate myself through classes when I was in school, took a business class. I also have I read books, and then I have an agent. And we sit down and we talk about things. I talk to other singers to find out, that have been in the business before me, to find out what they did about their taxes. Taxes are real, children. What they did about, the foreign stuff. I mean, because all that foreign minutia can get very confusing about, about the currency and the all that. It can be very confusing sometimes, but you need to just seek out help. Seek out help. No
Can't do it
question
yourself.
is a stupid question.
That's right. And a lot of times you do have to invest in good help.
There you go. Because I have an accountant. Keep it straight, and just like I said, just being able to ask for help. That is the biggest hurdle for a lot of people, because they want to pretend like you have it all together. Because I was one of these students, honey, that had the big hair and all the jewelry and the long eyelashes. And honey, when I was on stage, I had the finest dress. And one day my teacher said, "Baby, you are more important than your voice." I said, "Whoa, that hurts." Oh, because she wasn't saying I wasn't talented,
right,
but she was saying you're a little ahead of yourself. Stay in your lane until you learn how to use your turn signal,
right,
and grow into it. Learn how to merge. You don't know how to merge yet, sister. So yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate it. This was so much fun.
Oh, thank you.
This was great. I'm Faith McKinney with ICIndieMag.com. Follow me.